Hey, I'm Rue, and welcome to the How to Film Skiing Masterclass.
Feeling good, feeling great. Not a worry inside and I can't complain. Don't rain on my parade. Celebration over here, all the clouds go away. About time for us to shine. I don't know about y'all, but I need all of mine till then. Just unwind. Ain't nothing going on but a good old time. Say, hopped out the bed and turned my swag on. Looked in the mirror like, damn, you the one.
In this series, we're going to cover everything you need to know about how to film skiing. This is going to be a sort of comprehensive guide to guide you through your passion for filming skiing. I'm going to be using skiing as sort of like a holistic term to capture everything in the winter sports arena, but whether you're filming skiing, snowboarding, or any adaptive winter sports, this is the series for you. Over the years, I've made a lot of ski films. Some have gone on to do pretty well at film festivals and gone on to get signed to networks. Some have brought me to work with brands such as Patagonia, The North Face, La Sportiva, Outside TV, and all other sorts of outdoor industry brands. So, hopefully, I can take those experiences that I've learned from creating ski films and teach you all exactly how to do it so that you can go out and create awesome stuff for yourself. This is episode 1 of a 7-episode weekly series that will be going live on this channel here on YouTube. So every Wednesday, tune in because there will be more practical tips for you to learn how to film skiing. I'm really excited about this because as the winter season is in full force here, my hope and my dream is that in between every episode, you can go out and practice some of these skills for yourself. So I'll provide you a quick but comprehensive overview of what we're gonna talk about in this masterclass. For episode 1, pretty soon, we'll be breaking out of this room and filming in the backcountry. I'm gonna walk you through all of the basics of camera settings, what lenses to use, how to prepare, and how to capture the skier in the best way possible. Even if you're not a backcountry skier, a lot of these will apply to filming at resorts as well. So stick around, good things to come. In episode 2, I'm gonna be doing a deep dive on all of the equipment that I use. So if you're curious exactly what setup I have, I'll walk you through that and the gear in episode 2. In episode 3, we're gonna be covering gimbals and gimbal techniques. I love talking about gimbals because when you're filming skiing, if you've tried to film skiing handheld on a mountain, it doesn't totally work. And a gimbal will help alleviate all of your problems by getting rid of the bumps and getting awesome, smooth footage. And as much as I will be walking through specific tips and tricks in this masterclass, I think the best way for people to learn is to shadow me as I create a branded documentary style film. It's an awesome story. In episode 4, we'll be doing the pre-production and storytelling planning. Episode 5 will be a behind the scenes on me shooting the actual documentary. In episode 6, I'll be walking you through how I edit that documentary. And in episode 7, I'm really excited about this one. It's about marketing your ski film and creating a sustainable career as a ski filmmaker. So hopefully by the end of all of this, you can go from learning your camera settings to potentially starting to network and create a career out of this for yourself. So stick around, there's good things to come. So now that we've talked about who I am and what we're going to cover in this series, let's get out of these 4 walls and get in the snow. Welcome to episode 1, where we'll be filming in the backcountry. We are out in nature. It is a beautiful day, warm, sunny, all things that we want when we're going out for a mellow ski tour. But today, I'm gonna walk you through the compositional elements of what I think about when I'm planning filming skiing. When I begin, I love to capture not just the landscape, but also the specific details that are happening while we're out here. So capturing shots of leaves, maybe of the ski boots going through the snow, of the skis going through the snow. Capturing not just the wide, but also the really tight details can help position your athlete in this landscape. As I've talked about in other videos, the outdoors is sort of the stage. It's sort of where the emotions of your character is gonna happen. And so by setting this stage visually, by capturing not just the wide, but the medium and the close-up shots, can really help communicate where we are and what we're doing while we're out here. And when we're out in a place like this, I think it's really important to go in with a specific shot list of things that you definitely want to capture, because with that preparation comes success. However, I will say there is a lot of moments that can sort of be off the cuff. So when shooting skiing, I like to prepare and make sure I'm prepared, but also ensure that I have the flexibility to not just shoot a shot list, but also shoot for coverage. What I mean by shooting for coverage is making sure that all your grounds are covered. So you are able to collect a full visual scene by collecting a wide, medium, and tight shot. Sometimes an extra tight shot if you want to really capture the emotional impact of your athlete. But by capturing all sorts of these shots throughout the day, we can guarantee that we have something when it goes to the editing room that can edit together in a cohesive manner. as I am stuffed into this bush, there's actually a reason for that with framing up these shots when creating a memorable image. There are 3 things that I like to think about. The first, the composition. The second, the focal length. And the third is the movement. First, when it comes to having a good composition, it's all about how the light interacts with the shadows. So because there's not a lot of interaction between the light and the shadows here, another way you can create interesting composition is through texture by having foreground, midground, and background. So here, I'm artificially pushing myself into this tree by creating some foreground with this branch here. So this branch will be in the front of the shot. Charlie, our athlete, will walk through the frame and we'll see this background kind of reveal itself as I pan slowly across as he moves. So I'm at 24 millimeters, which is a wide angle. The reason I'm at a wide angle right now is because I've been capturing a lot of tight shots of Charlie walking up so far, so I want to make sure I'm having variety as we're skiing here. And we also have a beautiful landscape, so I want to make sure to capture that. Finally, the movement. There's 2 parts of movement. The movement of the athlete, so what's happening in front of the camera, and then the movement of the camera itself. So here, because of the stabilization in both the lens and the camera, I'm handheld, but I will be slowly moving my camera to the side to sort of track Charlie as he walks through the frame. At the end of the movement, I will sort of pan my camera, but in essence, I will be trying to track Charlie parallel as he kind of comes through the frame into the snow here. I try to keep my lens on manual focus here to make sure that I'm not accidentally grabbing focus of the tree branch. Charlie's showing the lifestyle of skiing, looking beautiful. Nice, Charlie. Way to walk with those skis on your feet. Okay, and here as he walks away, you can keep going, Charlie. I zoom into 105 and kind of get a little bit of a tighter shot of him walking away. Way to look good, Charlie. It's like you've done this before. I'm actually gonna put my battery in a zipped up pouch. I didn't say this earlier, but just to make sure it doesn't fall out when you open your bag and get other things out of here, such as ND filters and cameras. So we'll keep going up and keep enjoying this beautiful day. You're gonna say they don't make snow like this anymore. Man, they just don't make snow like this anymore. Okay, so we're about to envision this beautiful shot. We have this amazing background behind us here. So I'm gonna communicate with Charlie what kind of shot we're gonna get, because communication between the filmmaker and the athlete is also very important. So this is what I'm gonna have you do.
All right.
We're gonna have you walk, see that tree right there?
Right there.
We're gonna try this again. So you're gonna walk to that tree,
okay,
and I'm gonna kind of get a shot of you just walking over there, just with this camera. And then maybe once you're there, hang out for like a minute, 30 seconds or whatever. I have the radios and I'll just radio you like, okay, you can start skinning up.
Cool.
I'll have the drone up at that point.
Awesome.
And then if you want to just kind of make those nice diagonal skinning lines,
yes,
we'll get that going on the drone. So as you can see on the front of my lens here, as I'm filming Charlie, I have an ND filter. This basically cuts out the light. Snow is really bright. In order to ensure that your shutter speed is double your frame rate, I like to have an ND filter on the front because the sun and the snow can reflect a lot of light. So having a powerful ND filter, basically the most powerful you can get, can help your shutter speed be double your frame rate. So those are some of the camera settings. Right now, I'm at 60 frames per second, 1/125, f4 and ISO 640, which is the native ISO for this camera. Okay, so now that we have the shot of Charlie going over there, I'm gonna break out the drone and radio Charlie whenever he's ready to begin. So let's get the drone out. Okay, so when it comes to filming with a drone is definitely a bit of a hassle. It's carrying extra weight, it's having to kind of stop and set things up for a second versus the sort of run and gun nature that we've been doing. But I think if you're able to go through the hassle of bringing the drone along, I think it's worth it. And here's why. I've talked a lot about the composition, right? Making a beautifully visual image. However, when capturing skiing, it's not just about capturing a good shot, it's about capturing the right type of shots. And you can do that through getting a variety of different angles. So you can capture a wide, medium, and tight shot. A drone sort of adds additional variety to what you're shooting. Even though it's a bit of a hassle, I think having the variety in the image definitely makes the production value of your ski film a lot higher. However, drones aren't allowed everywhere. They're not allowed at most ski resorts, even in some backcountry areas they're not allowed. So make sure you're checking the rules and regulations of where you're going to be flying your drone to make sure A, it's legal and you're not disturbing any wildlife or any other people. When it comes to when to fly, like when during the day, when during the ski tour am I launching the drone, we're about halfway up right now. And the reason I like to do it here is I like to have a different spot on the way up than the way down. So I think the best drone shots on the way down come from the top. So right now, as we're starting the beginning of the really uphill descent. We've gone through a lot of the flat section now. Having an establishing shot of the drone here and then a different location on the way down is kind of the two variety of locations that I look for when I'm flying a drone. In addition to having ND filters for your camera, it's also important to have ND filters for your drone, because drones are pointing right down at the snow and they can be very bright. So I like to swap out for the most powerful ND filter that you can get to ensure that your shutter speed is double your frame rate. When I'm shooting with the drone, as opposed to 24 frames per second or 60 frames per second that I'll shoot with my camera typically, I like to shoot at 30 frames per second with my drone, because I don't think slow motion drone shots of someone skinning is that exciting, but I do like to have a little bit of flexibility in terms of slowing it down just to kind of get any jitters out of the way in case there are some bumps when it's flying. All right, so the drone is up. We're in a good position to film Charlie, so I'm gonna tell him to go. All right, Charlie, you are good to start skinning whenever you're ready. I'm flying with the DJI Mavic Air 2S, and I'm flying in Cine mode because I think the slow reveal of the landscape is the most beautiful. All right, Charlie, cut to the right a little bit. Oh, there you go, you're golden. What a gem, he follows instructions so well. This is the nice thing about working with an athlete, is they know what shots are gonna look good and they know kind of what we're looking for as the filmmaker. All right, Charlie, you're good, you can stop there. Thanks so much. I'll land the drone and then we'll come up and meet you. There we go, got the drone shot. We'll keep heading up and keep the good times rolling. Okay, so we have just made it to the top. What we're gonna do, just to communicate, again, because communication is important on what we're doing out here, I think I'm gonna get some shots of you kind of transitioning, so taking your boots off, taking your skins off, transitioning to downhill mode. Cool. A quick tip when you're filming a boot or a ski is to get at the level of the boot and the ski, rather than filming it from up here. I think the best angle is at the level of whatever you're trying to shoot. So, all right, whenever you're ready to transition, Charlie, go ahead and do it. Yeah, that was it, dude. Oh, yeah. That was so pro. Look at him taking off his skins like a legend. Wow. This is why they pay you the big bucks, Charlie. Okay, so as Charlie is transitioning, you can keep going, Charlie. I'm similar to other areas of filming. I'm trying to capture a wide, medium, and tight shot. So I like to start tight and then gradually move backwards so we can see Charlie in the landscape. But with transitioning, there's a lot of fun little details that are happening, like ripping skins, getting boots clicked in. So making sure you get the details as well as the wide shots is important. And one thing, and the reason I love the 24-105 is sometimes you can get all of that without even having to move, which is pretty sweet. I'm gonna break out the gimbal because one of my favorite shots, I like to call it the Rue shot. It's not copyrighted by any means, but you're in the foreground and you're blurry and that's in the background, but in focus, and I do like a parallax movement with the gimbal. I'll show you what I mean in a second. But yeah, I think just with this view up here on this ridge, it's pretty stunning, and that's one way I like to capture it while still keeping you in the frame. Okay, one thing that is equally as important as capturing the filming is remembering that you are a part of this expedition and you're a part of this adventure yourself. So being efficient with your transitions and making sure that you're not totally slowing the group down and being able to keep up with your athlete is a big part of this. Sometimes I'll even practice transitioning in my room to make sure that all of my systems are dialed such that when I'm out here, I can transition quickly so that no one's having to wait on me to film and no one's having to wait on me to transition as well.
Oh, that was so sick.
I'm not even kidding. I legit practice in my room. Okay, so we are about to descend into the trees, and I, as you can see, am breaking out the gimbal. The gimbal is a great tool to keep shots steady and keep things moving fluid and beautiful. If you've tried to film skiing without a gimbal, you'll notice that a lot of shaky footage will occur. So this is a great tool to help mitigate a lot of the bumps. When I'm filming in the backcountry, I actually prioritize not shooting on the gimbal first and making sure I have all of my shots before I jump to the gimbal, because sometimes, given the speed and everything, you can miss a shot on the gimbal. Because this is sometimes a difficult tool, you're skiing, we're going through the trees, we're in the backcountry, there's a lot of safety risks to be aware of, that I definitely make sure to have a dialed in idea of what we're doing. He's gonna drop in first. I'm gonna drop in kind of tracking him parallel and kind of just tuck in behind him and get a little bit of a follow cam shot. Once we have that shot, I'll probably actually put the gimbal away and prioritize static and handheld shots just to ensure that we have all of the downhill shots and I don't accidentally miss anything on the gimbal. In the backcountry, you only have a limited amount of downhill time. So making sure that every moment that you can capture something, obviously when it's okay with the athlete and you have the time for it, is crucial. So making sure that you have everything dialed before you go, you have an idea of where you're gonna be, where we're gonna do, and making sure that all your settings and stabilization modes are correct. Okay, so Charlie just asked, the thing he doesn't get about is the gimbal is if it's fully locked, how can you follow somebody as you're moving? And that's a great transition into the modes that I like to use on the gimbal. So there are two modes that I primarily use. There's the pan mode, but the no tilt mode. So you can see when I tilt it down, the camera stays locked, but it will still pan. The reason I like having it on this mode, especially when following somebody downhill, is I don't accidentally pan down to their feet or pan up to their head. I'm just staying at a similar level to their body, and it's kind of that optimal chest high to head high level. I will switch it to the pan and tilt modes, which means you can tilt down and tilt up. If I have a little bit more of a clear idea of a skier coming down and me maybe skiing backwards next to them, panning up from their feet to their face. I've done that a lot at the ski resort. I will say it's more difficult in the backcountry because normally you have to be skiing backwards to capture it, or at least be aware of a lot of the hazards around you. And a ski resort on a wide open run, you can make it happen. In the backcountry, it's a little more tricky. So for backcountry skiing, I recommend keeping it on the pan, but not tilt mode. So we're gonna do that now. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so we are now filming the downhill portion. The descent is obviously one of the most iconic parts of skiing, so we wanna make sure it's captured well. In order to do that, you're gonna implement all of the practices that we've been learning already. You have your ND filter on, maybe you're filming in 60 or 120 frames per second. This shot, because we've communicated what shot we want with our athlete Charlie's gonna come down and try to spray me with the snow. So I'll be having it in 120 frames per second to kind of capture that snow moving towards the camera in the best way possible. So I'm gonna radio Charlie in 1 second here. Once I got my white balance set up, my exposure is properly exposed, properly set. Okay, Charlie, you're gonna spray me with the snow. When creating the iconic spray shot, there are two things I'm looking for. One, having the subject backlit, so having the sun behind the subject. It's kind of a cloudy day, so you won't really be noticing that too much. The second piece is having the athlete higher up in the frame. So I will be very low, crouched down as close to the snow as possible. This makes Charlie nice and big and can separate him from the trees by having him positioned in the skyline. So we're gonna have Charlie drop in and we're gonna see what happens. All right, Charlie, you're good to drop in. Looks like you got me.
What you wanted?
That's exactly what I wanted. So as you can see, you may be concerned, oh no, Rue, what about your equipment? These cameras are meant to take a beating. Thankfully, Sony has a very durable weatherproofing system. So all you gotta do is just brush it off and we'll keep going. This is also one reason why I like the Sony a7S III instead of the Sony FX3, is the Sony FX3 has an external fan, which if you do something that I just did with Charlie and you get snow can get in the fan. So having a Sony a7S III that's a little bit more durable, we'll just brush it off, store it up, and keep going. So that is the end of our first episode of how to film skiing in the backcountry. Stay tuned because in the next episode, I'm gonna walk you through all of the equipment that I use and why I use it. Making a ski film is not just about the gear I use or going to amazing places and capturing skiing. There's so much that goes into this, capturing the lifestyle and capturing a story. So stick around because there's many more episodes of the How to Film Skiing Masterclass to come. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and stay tuned and subscribe because there are more videos coming soon. Thanks so much for watching. I love you. I'm proud of you. Have the best day ever.